Hello and welcome to the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I'm your host Janine, manifesting maven, lunar ritualist, nature lover, sex magic expert, and empowering confidence and sexuality coach. If you'd like, you can think of me as your witchy bestie who calls you out on your self-deprecating cycles while encouraging you to align with your highest self. And I'm on a mission to help women return to the wisdom of their bodies and embrace their inner power. If you're a woo-woo woman craving more self-love, confidence, fulfillment, and passion in your life, you are in the right place. The Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast is here to help women like you to thrive as your most radiant and happy self. Here you can find inspiration and tools taken from my one-on-one coaching sessions and group experiences to support you in your journey. We'll cover things like societal conditioning, inner child healing, pleasure practices, manifestation techniques, approachable rituals, and all around women's empowerment. My goal is to shift your perspective and give you actionable takeaways so you can walk away from these episodes feeling inspired to create a life that ignites your soul. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful that we're able to connect in this way, and I can't wait to dig into the contents of this episode with you. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, today I am excited to share one of my favorite meditations for really tapping into your sensual radiance and connecting with your body, with your sensuality and your sexual organs. This is actually a meditation that I came across very early on in my journey with my program and my training that led me to be a confidence and sexual empowerment coach. And it's a surprising meditation. It is unlike anything else I have ever done or come across as of yet. And it is just this truly visceral experience that really connects you with your body in this incredible, juicy way. So that is what I am here to share with you today. But before I do, I also just want to bring awareness to something, kind of own up to something. I feel like I've been coming up short for all of you on the podcast this last little while, unintentionally. And since I've become aware of it, I just really want to take a moment to own up to it, because I think that's something that's really important to do in life, in relationship with ourselves and with others. Whenever we notice that we are not really holding up our end of the bargain or aren't showing up our best, when we become aware of that, it's important to acknowledge it, to own up to it, and learn from it. So when it comes to this podcast, I fell into a habit of recording the episodes at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, the day before the podcast was released. I would wait until my kids have gone to bed, have a nice quiet home and space, and record the episode. And although, yes, that's totally last minute, that might not be entirely the worst thing to do. That said, I noticed my energy is not necessarily the energy I want to be sharing with all of you. It is my late night, relaxed, after doing bedtime with the kids and snuggling and all of that stuff. And I found I was just in a very, very calm and grounded and slow kind of vibe. And although that vibe is definitely great for certain things, especially that time of night, it isn't exactly the vibe that I want to be bringing to you on the podcast. So I am owning up to that. I definitely was falling short in that way, and I see how it has impacted the episodes. And I so appreciate all of you for listening and tuning in, and I really want to bring my best for you and put my best foot forward. And so what that means, now that I have kind of seen what has been going on over these last few weeks or couple months, I'm honestly not 100% sure how long I've fallen into that habit for. But now that I have noticed it and am owning up to it, and how I am learning from it is that going forward, I will be recording the podcast during the day when I have a little bit more oomph and pizzazz or whatever you want to call it. I'm a little bit more high vibe, and that is what I want to bring to you. That said, just talking about real life, I do have my dog beside me, and he has spent some time in the kennel while we went to Souk River with the kids for the day. And so I really don't want to box him up just to record this podcast. So if you happen to hear any playing noises in the background, that is what is going on, but hopefully you will not notice it too much. Now, let's get into this sensual, juicy meditation and just how impactful it is and how easy it is for anyone to be able to do. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to talk a little bit about our disconnection with our bodies. And why I think this meditation helps so much is because most of you are quite disconnected from your bodies in one way or another. There is definitely a range there, and throughout most of it, I'm not going to say all of it, but throughout most of it, there is that disconnection with your body, especially when it comes to your sexuality and your sensual organs and your sensations and your connection to all of that. Because our society, our way of living is really geared towards disconnecting us from our body. We've been raised to eat every last bite, even when we are full and we don't want to. We are raised to give hugs and to greet our family in certain ways that adhere to expectations, yet we are totally uncomfortable with. And so we're overriding our body's signals and impulses to do the thing anyway. And that transfers over to all of the ways that women can people please and how you can say yes, even though your body is telling you no. And the more you do that, the more disconnected you get. I can't remember if I've had a full podcast on this or not, but I feel like it's something that comes up in conversation over and over and over again. And perhaps even if you didn't necessarily do the good girl persona, there is the boss babe or independent woman archetype that so many of us, including myself, were very heavily attached to and embodied. And that is the pushing through and doing the things and getting stuff done, doing it all ourselves, not needing anyone else. And through doing that, through staying busy and accomplishing and doing the things and keeping the wheels turning, we overrode our body signals of saying that we're tired, that perhaps this isn't totally in alignment and we need to adjust, we need to rest, take a break, do this pivot, that pivot. We totally overrode that to keep pushing through and doing the thing. And if that was you, I'm sure you have faced not only exhaustion, but burnout, likely more than once. Or perhaps you were someone who took on the rebel persona, which was a big part of my life throughout my late teen years and my early 20s. And a big part of that is numbing yourself out, of doing the risky thing, which is its own protector layer of protecting our soft inner shell by having this hard, tough outer shell and numbing our feelings with alcohol and drugs and partying and being busy and all of these different things. So no matter what kind of archetype you have found yourself in, or perhaps you have layered them on, I know I have definitely embodied all of those at different times in my life, all of them disconnect us from our bodies. And especially when it comes to our sexuality, because as women, we honestly cannot win and we see sex everywhere, sex sells. We need to embody a certain type of sensual flair, but not too much. We don't want to attract the wrong kind of male attention. We don't want to be a slut or this or that. And so we've are caught in between these two worlds, not really knowing how to embody things the right way in a way that actually feels good, that is for our own ownership and not in service of someone else. Because again, when we are making our sexuality of service of someone else and hey, it'd be nice if we even get off, that is also creating a disconnect between our sexuality, our body, our ownership of ourselves. And so this meditation is a great way to really build that relationship with our body, with our sensuality from a place of empowerment and ownership, and really choosing what we want that to look like for ourselves, because that is going to be different for everyone. We all have a different way of connecting with our sensuality and sexuality. Some are going to be a lot more outward and loud about it because that's just what their personalities are. And some are going to be a lot more reserved and quietly embodied because that's just the way they are. And all of it is okay. And with this meditation, you really get to pick and choose what you are wanting to embody and how you are wanting to connect with your sensuality. So the meditation is called the honeypot meditation. I actually have it available for free. I will include the link in the show notes. And you can just walk yourself through the visualization as well, if that's something that you are more connected with. But the free guided recording is available for you as well. But first, I will kind of let you know what it is. Because again, I love it, juicy, delicious, so impactful. And so first, of course, as with most meditations, you begin slowing down, turning your attention inward, into the body, through the breath, really connecting with the present moment and what is alive for you at the time. And then you have an opportunity to picture a honey pot. Now, this honey pot can look like anything at all, whatever comes up for you. And in this honey pot is thick, delicious, golden honey. And you stir this honey pot, this delicious, juicy honey. And as you do, you choose what ingredients you really want to embody in your sensuality. You can sprinkle in some confidence, some radiance, some sassiness, some flirtatiousness. Any ingredients you choose go in this honey, and you just stir it together in this honey pot. And once you feel it is nice and mixed in, you then pour this honey on your body and sexual organs, starting on your tummy, above your womb space, sinking it deep, deep in through the skin. And as you drink up this honey, you are taking on these qualities that you have sprinkled into it. We then move this honey pot, dripping it all over your vulva, your vagina, your anus, bringing it inward into your womb space, rolling around those ovaries. And it's through this slow practice, much slower than I'm walking you through now, that you are able to connect with each of your sexual organs one by one, really giving attention to each one of your parts and connecting with it from a space that you choose to connect with it. Not one that is based on all of these stories and things you've heard and experiences you've had, but connecting with it from a place of empowerment, from a place of choice in how you want to relate with your sexuality and embody your sensuality. And you sink in these qualities as you slowly move from one organ to the next, drinking it up, really creating safety within your body to feel these different qualities as it relates to your sexuality. And I will say, like, your first is probably going to be a little bit surprising. Maybe not, because I've walked you through it. I certainly didn't have a walkthrough when I did the meditation. It can be a bit clunky. Like, I don't know about you, but chances are you have not connected with each one of your sexual organs before doing this. Perhaps you've done some work, but most of you probably have not connected with your right ovary. I know I certainly hadn't before doing this meditation. And so that's where it can get a little bit clunky, and you might not necessarily feel your right ovary the first time you do it. And that's totally normal and totally okay. This is a practice to come back to time and time again. And as you do, you build that connection, as I've touched on. You build that relationship with each of these parts of your body. And over time, you will feel each one of them. You will feel sensations coming alive. You will feel a welcoming for these different ingredients that you put in this honey, and these different feeling states you are calling in to embody yourself. And every time you do this meditation, it is cementing it more and more into your body, into your nervous system, and into your subconscious. Because when you go into that meditative state, you're really opening yourself up so you are able to choose what kind of programming you want to take in. And I personally believe it is very important to intentionally program ourselves. Every time you are scrolling through your phone or watching TV or hearing a podcast, listening to the radio, this, that, and the other thing, you are being programmed. We are taking in all of these messages, and no matter how intentional we are and how much we critically think, we are being programmed by these things, which is why it's super important to choose what kind of media you consume, but that is a whole other conversation. And it is very important to be intentional about how we program ourselves and make space for that. That is a part of how we really tap into our inner power, which is what I do with my coaching clients, with my inner power methodology, is by being able to open yourself up through meditation, through breath work, through pleasure practices, and choose how you want to program your mindset, your subconscious, and your nervous system, creating safety within your body to feel fucking empowered in being seen, using your authentic voice as a sensual woman. Because for most of you, that is not going to feel safe. That is going to feel fucking scary, and you're going to be scared of judgment. And perhaps you're going to be okay embodying that with your partner or with your best friend. But when it goes out into the whole world, probably not. And even when it comes to those special people, I'm sure you are going to have some reservations about fully embodying it. And so that's why embodiment practices like the free honeypot meditation, like those in unapologetic practices, are designed to help you create this inner safety and this inner strength within. Because you have your own inner power. You don't need to go somewhere else or to change the way you look or to be on this diet, do this or that thing to feel empowered. You need to connect with yourself, to face your shadows, your darkness, to be able to understand them, to accept them, and to love them. And to intentionally program yourself to have a sense of safety, belonging, and love. So that way, if someone else does have some sort of judgment for you speaking up for yourself, for setting your boundaries, or letting your freak flag fly, it doesn't fucking matter, because you have that sense of strength and safety and belonging within. And it is pivotal to our inner power and to living an aligned, unapologetic, authentic life. We need to have that inner strength within so that it doesn't matter what other people think or say or do based on how we act, as long as we know we are being true to ourselves, being true to what we really know is right in the world. Of course, we're going to make mistakes, and there are chances we're going to hurt other people and different things like that. And we need to be able to have the capacity to see those, to learn from those, and really check our inner compass for what feels right or wrong for us. Not what we're told is right or wrong, but what truly feels right or wrong for us. And so, again, this all comes back to meditations like these and different embodiment practices, because your sexuality, and this is really bringing it back to this particular meditation. I could go off on a tangent, but I'm going to try and rein it in here a little bit. But our sexuality is for us. It is our sexual life force energy. It is the source of vitality, of creativity, of emotional flow, of connection, of so many incredible things that really bring liveliness to our life. And it is all there in our sacral chakra, within our womb space, why it is so important to connect with this space. This is the part of us that makes us a woman. It is the part of us that connects us with our femininity. And when we are completely blocked off from our body, we don't have that connection. We're not able to soften into our femininity and be flirty and playful and nurturing and connected and be able to surrender into ecstatic pleasure when we have our guard the fuck up and are caught up in our heads doing this or that, or playing safe, being scared of what other people are going to think, making sure we're doing the right thing, making sure we're doing it right because we don't want to be wrong or be embarrassed by that. All of that's creating that disconnect. So we need to tap into our inner power, be intentional with how we relate with ourselves, how we program ourselves. And that's how you get, again, that authentic, unapologetic embodiment of our inner essence from that place of inner power. So I feel like I could go on and on about this because obviously I'm super passionate, and it creates this incredible ripple effect that just impacts so much of how we show up in the world. Because when we are connected to our femininity, to our inner knowing, to our sensuality, our emotions, and our creativity, we are able to connect with others in this deep way. We're able to show up with our families in a really present, deeply connected way. We're able to speak up at work with friends, set boundaries, do the things. The ripple effect is amazing. And so I encourage you, if any of this has piqued your attention or your interest, try out this meditation. Again, if you're someone who likes to walk yourself through it, have at her. And if you like the guidance, I have a recording available completely for free. I want to say it's 12-ish minutes long. I believe that's what it was when I uploaded it into Unapologetic Practices. But it is there for you. It is a resource for you to connect with your inner power and your sensuality. And when you have something like that available, why wouldn't you? It's personally a no-brainer for me when you have something like this available to do it, to bring that intention into your life, to choose to connect with your femininity and your inner power, because it's only going to create positive impacts in your life when you do that. And yes, sometimes it might be hard to get to the other end of those positive impacts. And when you're living in a place of alignment, it's all worth it in the end. So if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Again, I will leave the link in the show notes. Feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at janine.mckinnon. The link will be in the show notes, or shoot me an email, info@janinemckinnon.com. I would love to chat with you. Also, stay tuned. I'm super excited. Season 3 of the podcast is coming out in a few weeks. So I will leave a link to the waitlist in the show notes. We are going big. We are going more unapologetic than ever. As you can tell, there is a shift in my energy doing these daytime recordings, and that is just going to be amplified with this new season 3 of Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon. I have a ton of great guest episodes lined up for you of incredible women sharing their stories of embodying their unapologetic authenticity, as well as a new segment. We're kind of clarifying some things, and these solo episodes are going to be Tuesday transmissions, where I am sharing my weekly transmission to you in support of you embodying your unapologetic authenticity. We're going to have new short episodes out every day for a week, a really fun launch party, opportunities to win a bunch of prizes, including coaching, access to a new group program that's coming out in September, access to unapologetic practices, so many juicy things. So get on the wait list for that. Again, I'll leave the link in the show notes. Lots of fun and excitement coming for you, and I think I will leave it at that. Wishing you an incredible rest of your day whenever you are listening to this. And trust your inner wisdom and make some magic. Thank you for joining us inside the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you feel called, I would so appreciate it if you shared about this episode in your stories or left us a review to help us reach more women on their unapologetic journey. As a thank you for your support, you'll be entered into our monthly draw for a free coaching session. Just tag at Janine.McKinnon in your story shares, or leave the rating or review, screenshot it, and email to Janine@unapologeticmotherhood.com to be entered. One lucky winner is selected every month for a focused coaching session to support you in working towards your current desires. Until next time, trust your inner wisdom and create some magic.